Long before settlers ever set foot on the frontier, Native American tribes were locked in fierce and ongoing conflicts with one another. Captives taken in these battles faced grim fates, often subjected to torture and execution. But there was a twist. These warriors were expected to face their deaths with unflinching defiance. They'd boast about their strength in battle, sing their death songs, and stare down their captors with unshakable courage. These executions weren't hidden in the shadows. They were public spectacles with entire villages gathering to witness the event. Even the children watched, and the women, especially those who had lost husbands or sons in battle, often took part in the torment. Captives were sometimes burned, and in the case of adult males, the ordeal could stretch on for days. Yet not every captive faced such a fate. Some tribes would spare their lives, adopting them into their communities instead. When Euro-Americans arrived on the scene, they found themselves subjected to these long-standing traditions, a chilling initiation into the raw realities of life in the Old West. Captivity in the Old West was a grim and often horrifying experience, with nearly all tribes practicing some form of torture on their captives. Some, like the Plains tribes and the Apache, were infamous for their brutality. For women, the ordeal was even harsher. Rape and disfigurement were tragically common. Yet for those taken at a young age, life didn't always end in suffering. Many women who weren't ransomed grew up as part of the tribe, often becoming wives. Olive Oatman, for instance, was taken by Native Americans and returned to white society after 5 years. Others, like Cynthia Ann Parker, never went back. Captured by the Comanche at just 9 years old in 1836, Cynthia became a part of their world. She eventually married Pita Nocona, a prominent Quahati chief, and bore him 3 children. Her oldest son, Quanah, would go on to become one of the greatest Comanche leaders in history. On December 18, 1860, a group of Texas Rangers led by Captain Sewell Ross launched a daring raid on a Comanche hunting camp. Among those they captured was a woman known as Naura, Cynthia Ann Parker, along with her infant daughter. But bringing her back to her original people wasn't the happy ending anyone might have imagined. Cynthia, or Naura as she had come to identify, longed for her life among the Comanche. She made several attempts to escape and return to her adopted people, but heartbreak would soon weigh heavy on her. She learned that her young son Pecos had died of smallpox, and later her infant daughter Topsana succumbed to pneumonia. The devastating loss of her children, combined with her inability to reunite with the Comanche, plunged Cynthia into deep despair. Her depression took a severe toll, and by 1870, her life ended. After Colonel Ranald Mackenzie's crushing victory over the Comanche in the Red River War of 1874 to 1875, the once mighty tribe faced a new reality. Forced onto a reservation near Fort Sill, Oklahoma, their way of life was forever changed. But one man rose to lead them through the storm, Quanah Parker. Quanah didn't just adapt, he thrived. With sharp wit and unmatched resilience, he forged alliances with Texas ranchers. He struck deals that allowed their cattle to pass through the Comanche reservation, for a price that benefited his people. Quanah didn't just adapt, he thrived. With sharp wit and unmatched resilience, he forged alliances with Texas ranchers. He struck deals that allowed their cattle to pass through the Comanche reservation, for a price that benefited his people. But Quanah didn't stop there. Partnering with the Texans, he became a wealthy cattleman in his own right. In 1905, 2 legends of the Old West, Quanah Parker and Geronimo, captivated the nation as they donned their Native American regalia and became the star attractions of President Theodore Roosevelt's inauguration parade in Washington. Their presence was a powerful reminder of a bygone era, even as the country forged ahead into a new century. Just a few years later, in 1910, Quanah made one final tribute to his family's legacy. He arranged for his beloved mother's remains to be reinterred at a mission near his ranch in Cache, Oklahoma, a place he held dear. The following year, Quanah passed away, and as he wished, was buried beside his mother. Their story didn't end there. In 1957, both were moved to Fort Sill, where they now rest in the Post Cemetery, a lasting legacy of a man who bridged 2 worlds and left an indelible mark on history.